Welcome to BlackstoneBass.com, where the bite is on. Today's episode, you see this water right here coming out the back of this 9.9 Mercury? That means the impeller's working. Today's episode, we're going to show you how to change this impeller on a 9.9 Mercury long shaft, because it's a little bit different. Okay, the first thing we need to do is we need to come in here and take apart this bolt that holds the linkage cable right here. It just happens to be an 8mm on this one. It's got a little keeper bolt on the other side. You need to loosen this off because this rod is what shifts it from neutral to reverse and, forward gear. We need to take this off before we can get down to the lower. So this will slide out, and this is where the impeller is housed. Oh, as you can see, I got these bolts are loose now. You want to make sure you look and mark where it used to be, because that's where you're going to need to go to have your linkage correct. So when it pulls up and down, it can change the gear for you. Okay, now that we've got that little piece off of the shifting linkage rod, we want to come down here and unloosen these bolts. Some motors have 4, like 2 and 2 on each side, but this one has 3. We got one here on the front, and then one here and one on the other side. And as you can see, I really can't get a socket in here, so I'm going with a 13mm boxed in wrench so I can fit up in here, and we'll take these bolts on out. Okay, here's the bolt from the other side to show you how long it is. I went ahead and put a piece of wood and a rag underneath the skeg here to hold the support of the lower unit. I'm going to take these other 2 bolts completely out now, and it should allow this to separate. Okay, as you can see, I have everything undone here. The bottom lower unit will not come off, and I can feel it pulling. In most of the regular outboard motors, this rod is in 2, which will let it slide out. Well, because this is a 9.9 long shaft, there's a piece up inside underneath the cowling that I got to find and unhook. So I'm going to look for that now. Yeah. So it looks like no matter what, I'm going to have to take this starter off because I need to get down in behind there to get the top of this linkage off for this shift cable. I went from a video about replacing an impeller to taking off a starter because it's in the way to get to that shift. So let me see if I can get this off and get it out of the way. Okay, I hope you're watching, Bruce. You're going to have to take this starter off. It's only 2 bolts, so it come right out, no problem. At least hopefully come right out. I'll just take the wire off the bottom so I can set it out the way without damaging it. Okay, see, I took a screwdriver and popped that little black piece up right there so I can take that rod off the end. I'll show you with a screwdriver. Hold on. You just pop it up out the way just like that, then I'll be able to take that rod off and hopefully get the lower unit out. Okay, once I slid it up, I came in and pulled out with a pair of needle nose pliers. And see, there's the little piece that went through the rod. That's all you gotta do is just plastic with a little metal piece. When I pulled that out, I heard a clunk because guess what? When I pulled that loose, immediately the lower unit came out. So see, that's what's holding it the whole time. So now I should be able to get down and get my impeller off. Okay, now we need to get the housing off to get to the impeller, which is inside here. We only need to take off 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. As I found on another video, you don't take off this front one. That has to go down to where the shifter mechanism and everything is. You don't need to mess with that. Just these 4 bolts, and mine happens to be, I believe it's the 10mm on this. Okay, getting these last little bolts out here for this housing. And you want to take it off real easy here. I don't know if, the cotter pins in here, things could fall out. You want to make sure you keep it kind of in the same position, I'm sure. Voila, there's the impeller. The little key fell out, and it fell out right down in there. See it? So I gotta get that out and be careful not to lose it. Wow, that impeller looks to be in decent shape, considering that I know we never changed it. clean up this outer housing a little bit, get some of this little dirt off here and scum. Like I said, this thing is in excellent shape. And one thing about this big rubber one, it's pretty easy to bend up. I've seen some that's so stiff you had to put zip ties around them to get them to work. All right, we're going to set the little quarter key right here, the little pin that keeps the that spins the impeller, so it's got set right back down on top just like it came out. I got some real soapy Dawn dishwashing heavy soapy liquid right here. I'm just going to pour some down in this impeller because it's so dry, just to help protect it for the first time it fires up. I've done it on bigger boats and seems to really help make sure nothing gets messed up. Okay, I finally got this bad boy back together. What I had to do was lay it on its side like this, and then I'll creep it up. You can hopefully see that little pin in there, that quarter pin. I'll put a piece of grease on it to line it up. See right there? So I lined it up with the right spindle on the impeller, so it would slide right on it to make sure I had it right. Whoops. And see how it goes just perfect. It's a little art to it. I ain't figured out exactly yet. Then you line it up and then you get her good and tight. So now I got to put these bolts back in. It should be good to go. Want to snug these bolts up good. You don't want to put the Gorilla Lock down on them. It's just going into plastic right here. Should be able to spin it a little bit. All right. Okay, we're gonna see if we can slide this bad boy on. This is where you need a friend. You know, like phone a friend, but I ain't got nobody available right now. So here goes nothing. See if we can slide her up in there. Well, as you can see, I got her started here. The three pipes, you got the water pipe, the shifter pipe, and the gear shift down to the lower unit. So, you know, friends sometimes overrated. If you can't get a hold of them, hey, sometimes they're no good. You gotta do what you gotta do, you know what I'm saying? So I got her started. She's going up in there. See right here, this shifter's hidden right here at the top. So I gotta do something about that. That's why I need another hand. Okay, I got my friend JL coming over. Yes, friends are not overrated. I pulled the lower unit back off. This is about the third time that I've done that. I believe part of my problem is I need to make sure I have this gear in the same with the boat. So I've got it in neutral now, and I've got the boat in neutral. So I should be able to spin my prop freely. Let's see here. Yeah, I can spin my prop freely both directions. So now I should be able to put it back into the unit and adjust on the top with the crankshaft or back and forth to get the gear to fit in correctly. So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, it's the third time I took it off. I can't get it to go all the way together yet. But how are we going to get it back up in there later?
You go ahead and put this in first. That way that's one less to line up.
Oh. Well, no, that might be what's holding me. See, I didn't know that.
Yep.
All right, so you want to take the water intake off?
Yep.
Do you move this piece to see it or what?
Your copper line should come right out of that rubber piece.
You sure about this? That's pretty hard. So you can see that he's got the water intake, the little copper piece already up in the engine, so that should make it easier to line up. Good move. So here goes nothing. I know that goes like that with the shifter, you know, with the bend down. All right. Ha! Look at that. Went right together. Woo! Oh my goodness. Hold on, I hope you guys at home seen that. It went right together. It wasn't the gears actually holding me out, but yes, I had the boat not in the same gear as the lower unit, but it was the water pipe. And JL was nice enough to come by and show me if you take the water pipe off the water pipe intake off the lower unit, go ahead and stick it in the motor, the lower unit went right on. Good move. And now what we're doing is tighten up these bolts on the lower unit since it went right together. Thanks, sir. All right, last thing I gotta do is put the starter on because I don't want y'all commenting saying, hey, you didn't put the motor back together. You see this little piece in here I showed you before that we were able to get the shift linkage together. Now it's time for the two bolts for the starter. And this baby be ready to fire up and run, but I am going to do the lower unit oil. So let me connect the wire back. Okay, we got this piece mounted back on now the way it should be. So I guess the last thing I need to do is check to make sure the gear on the front of the boat matches what's going on here. So right now we're in neutral, correct? Yep. JL, you want to put it in forward, I guess, and see what happens? Okay, it clicks one way and I can't turn the other. All right, now go neutral. Now back to, reverse. Reverse locks both ways, and that is correct according to the people online.